There are thousands of people in Pennsylvania who are on welfare because they truly need it. But not everyone. We learned during this investigation it's possible to win big in the lottery and still collect your tax dollars. The Department of Public Welfare, DPW, could stop this from happening, but it's not. Judging by that big smile on Jamie Frankfurt's face, this had to be one of the happiest days of her life. It was January 2012, and the Lancaster County resident had just won $330,000 in the Pennsylvania lottery. But that big smile was somehow missing when we went to talk to her about her winnings.
Turn that camera off, please, and get off my property.
We're not on your property, ma'am. When Frankfurt hit big on Cash 5, it just continued her lucky streak. Since July of 2009, she has won $344,000. Prior to this picture, Frankfurt was collecting welfare, including daycare and medical assistance. Afterwards, she kept collecting. Did you declare it to DPW? Under state law, welfare recipients must report lottery winnings to DPW. Benefits are then adjusted. These confidential court documents obtained by CBS 21 are from a custody dispute between Frankfurt and one of her children's fathers. Under oath on May 31st of this year, Frankfurt admitted she didn't tell the state she won the money. She was asked by counsel, quote, "You didn't pick up the phone and say, 'Guess what, taxpayers of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? I have $247,000 net in my bank account.'" Frankfurt responded, "No." Do you think it's right that the taxpayer should be subsidizing when you win that much money in the lottery? Man, what did you do with that money? Can you just roll down your window and answer a few of our questions? Frankfurt wasn't willing to give us comment, so we went to the person in charge to find out how this can happen. How would the state not know? She won it from the state.
Because we don't have systems to talk to each other.
Why?
Because it costs a lot of money. We're getting there.
But would it save a lot of money?
It may save some money.
Secretary Beverly McAreth said DPW's budget for technology is slim and its programs antiquated, meaning people can win big in the lottery and the welfare department would never find out.
When we get to the part where the budget is passed and they come back and say DPW cut $400 million, a lot of times the IT budgets are cut.
McAreth said sometimes it simply costs too much money to try to find people like Frankfurt. That explains how her winnings were not discovered by DPW. But it doesn't explain how Frankfurt can continue to collect your tax dollars to this day, even though the state now knows. Well, that part is legal. Under state law, lottery winnings are not considered income, but rather a lump sum that only affects certain benefits for that month. So even though Frankfurt can afford this Akron home for $143,500 and this Dodge Journey, she is still welfare eligible.
We can do better. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're doing a great job with this. The message is clear. And we can do better, and we're going to do better.
McAreth admits the state has a lot of work to do, considering the only reason DPW knows this woman hit the lottery is because of this woman. Tilly Tegmeyer is the future stepmother of Frankfurt's son, and she blew the whistle.
I just don't understand it. You can go on TV and hold a great big check, with a smile on your face, but you can't tell the state, oh, by the way, you don't need to continue to pay for my children. I can handle that now.
Our welfare system is designed to help people who have fallen on hard times, but we've all seen those stories where someone has cheated the system or where people have cheated the system and it amounts to tens of millions of dollars every year. But now a whistleblower has come forward to say it's the state's fault for creating a decades-long culture of fraud.
It is deeply flawed.
This woman has quite the story to tell.
It's a circus.
For the past 5 years, she has seen the inner workings of Pennsylvania's most funded, yet most secretive department, public welfare. As a caseworker, it was her job to issue benefits based on eligibility. So for obvious reasons, she can't be identified. You were told in training not to talk to the media?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, they just don't want the details of what goes on getting out.
Details like this.
The people that have worked there forever will tell you things like, just close your eyes and authorize, and when in doubt, give it out.
After college, this PA native wanted to give back by helping people get back onto their feet. But she quickly got frustrated by a deep-rooted culture she didn't expect.
Programs are supposed to create self-sufficiency, but the way that everything is set up, it just enables the complete opposite.
Now she's had enough, quit her job, and is blowing the whistle, saying what's really happening to your tax dollars.
There's only so much of this you can take.
At $11 billion a year, Pennsylvania spends 40% of its budget just on public welfare. But the benefits are not simply given out. The state does have requirements like job training. But our whistleblower says the rules are not enforced and information is not checked for truth.
I always joke, you could have the family dog write the statement and stamp his paw on it, and we would accept it.
But what might surprise you most is how the system handles fraud. This woman says she was encouraged to look the other way. She remembers a time when she caught a client lying, and her supervisor reprimanded her.
That supervisor wrote on my first EPR, needs to work more on finding people eligible instead of not eligible.
Governor Corbett, he would be appalled at the stories I'm appalled at the stories you're telling me.
Beverly Makareth is the Pennsylvania Secretary of Public Welfare.
This is not the way it's supposed to be.
When Makareth took over DPW in February, she knew there were cultural and systemic issues, but not like this.
These are taxpayer dollars.
We
Don't
don't
you
look-
know where they're going?
We can't look at every case. We don't look at every case. We look at trends.
And it's not hard to see why. At 17,000 employees, DPW is larger than many Fortune 500 companies, and it distributes assistance to 2.8 million Pennsylvanians. These 14 states don't even have that many people. Makareth says with numbers that large, waste, fraud, and abuse oftentimes goes undetected. Does that surprise you?
Not at all.
Nathan Benefield is with the Commonwealth Foundation, a government watchdog group.
For a long time, that has been the culture in the Department of Public Welfare of trying to add more people to the rolls and celebrating that fact.
Benefield points to a 2010 study by the Auditor General that found Medicaid alone wastes a whopping $1 billion annually. The AG found 15% of all payments are in error.
You've got to change the culture there of waste, fraud, and abuse, because that is taking money out of the pockets of taxpayers and even risking the social safety net for those who truly need it.
We want our staff to ensure that the people that are entitled to the benefits get them, and the people that are not don't, period.
But remember our whistleblower? That's not the message she received.
It's just authorize them and just be done with it.
Find a way to get them their assistance.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. But unless I know who that is, I can't do anything. Tell them they need to contact me. I mean, that's all we've got to fix it. But people can't be afraid to come forward or we'll never know.
When most people walk into a welfare office and apply for assistance, it's because they have nowhere else to turn. But that's not true for everyone. During our investigation, we found a loophole that allows people to collect your tax dollars even if they live with millionaires. These confidential state documents obtained by CBS 21
That's a hard one. The state should look into cases like that.
have people talking.
I don't think I, as a parent, would allow that.
It was late 2010 when a 26-year-old woman had filled out this welfare application form. She explained she had been out of the country, got pregnant, and moved back with her parents absent the baby's father. Under the resource section, the woman stated her parents made $191,000 a year, while having more than $810,000 just in retirement stocks, cash, and bonds. Yet despite those resources, the woman who was living in the home was approved for food and medical care for herself and her baby.
Honestly, I don't think that's really right, because you're living at home with your parents who has money. You have families on the street with their kids with nothing. It's not really fair to them.
It may not be fair, but it is legal. Welfare in Pennsylvania is broken up into different segments such as food, cash, and medical. Once a person reaches a certain age, they can get assistance regardless of the home's income or resources. So even if someone is living with a millionaire or even a billionaire, they can still collect your tax dollars.
We've lived, worked, and paid taxes in Pennsylvania our whole lives.
CBS 21 contacted the family on the application. They agreed to speak with us anonymously.
People can judge until they're in somebody else's shoes. And then what would they do?
We asked a couple about the circumstances that led to their daughter applying for welfare, something they encouraged.
Makes sense that this is why the program's there. For people that get stuck between a rock and a hard place, this was an adult child that we could have just said, you don't get to live here anymore. Do this on your own. And it would have cost the taxpayers of Pennsylvania a lot more because she would have gotten more benefits.
We should be celebrating her success. I mean, she had a healthy child. She works full time. This is an instance where the system worked.
But not everyone sees it that way.
I don't think it should be legal to live under, a millionaire's roof and still collect food stamps and welfare.
Then the people that really do need it are the ones that suffer because of it. And then we also suffer because we're funding it.
Outside of the family who applied for the assistance, we had a hard time finding anyone who thought this should be legal.
I think it's indefensible.
Including Senator Rob Teplitz.
No one should look at welfare as a means of giving up your own family responsibility to take care of your family.
Senator Teplitz is a member of the Public Health and Welfare Committee. He will soon introduce a series of bills aimed at reducing welfare fraud and waste. The reforms include improvements to IT, increased training, and now possibly this loophole, which he didn't know existed.
From what you described, it sounds like that should not be happening. We need to look at what loopholes in the law would allow that to occur and close them.
But this family warns that approach could have unintended consequences.
What he'll do is perhaps send people out on the street and then they'll be applying for more benefits. So there could be careful what you ask for, you might just get it.
In Pennsylvania, it is illegal for illegal immigrants to collect welfare, but we found a loophole in the system that allows them to collect your tax dollars legally. And we discovered during this investigation, the state can't stop it.
Did you have illegal aliens come to you?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Earlier this month, we introduced you to this woman, a former caseworker at the Department of Public Welfare. For 5 years, it was her job to issue benefits based on eligibility. And for 5 years, she issued thousands of your tax dollars to illegal alien households.
They walk into a government office saying, give me my welfare.
In Pennsylvania, a Social Security number is required to collect most welfare, something illegal immigrants don't have. But their children, if born in America, do. And once that first child is born, the household becomes eligible for the same benefits under the same requirements as if the parents were legal citizens.
The more kids they have, the more stuff they get?
Yes.
Do they know that when they come here?
Absolutely.
It works like this. If an eligible Lancaster County household headed by an undocumented immigrant has one child, the family gets $215 in cash assistance and $189 a month in food assistance. For each additional child, the numbers are adjusted. So if a family has 5 children who are citizens, the household would get $1,357 a month just in cash and food. The children would also be eligible for medical assistance. 2010 census data show 59% of Pennsylvania households headed by an illegal resident receive welfare, the 5th highest percentage of any state. But we couldn't find a report to translate this loophole into dollars. So we went to the Auditor General, Eugene D. Pasquale, to see if the Commonwealth could do an audit.
It would be very challenging for us because that would mean we'd have to go to every county assistance agency. If that's happening here, we can't be the only state in the country that confronted that.
D. Pasquale is correct. This happens in other states. In fact, it happens in every state. Federal law dictates that county assistance offices are non-reporting agencies, meaning if a known illegal walks into a government welfare building, they are not reported to authorities.
You could get fired for doing that.
For reporting an illegal alien?
Yeah, that's what they tell you.
We don't need welfare workers, county agencies becoming immigration agents. That's not their job.
Andy Hoover of the ACLU says this issue is about supporting kids, not the legal status of immigrants. He fears if caseworkers report illegals, it'll create a culture of fear, and parents won't seek help for their children.
If we create a situation where someone could be reported by an agency, we create a permanent underclass of people, some of whom are U.S. citizens.
You think that's the way the system should be run?
No, I do not.
Representative Brian Cutler of Lancaster County says this is about principle. Welfare workers, as government employees, should report illegals who apply for assistance because they're breaking the law.
I think that and wish that the federal government would give us more autonomy so that we could better manage those resources and making sure that we got those resources to the individuals who best need it, and in this case to the taxpayers who paid for it.
This story about a big-time lottery winner collecting welfare has caused a lot of outrage, and now CBS 21 News can report it has resulted in new legislation being drafted to change state law. Meanwhile, felony charges have been filed against the woman that we exposed.
Turn that camera off, please, and get off my property.
We're not on your property, ma'am. A few weeks ago, we introduced you to Jamie Frankfurt. Do you think it's right that the taxpayer should be subsidizing when you win that much money in the lottery? Man, what did you do with that money? In January 2012, Frankfurt won $330,000 in the Pennsylvania lottery, but continued to collect welfare by not reporting her winnings to the state.
I think the fact of the lottery winnings and the size of the lottery winnings makes the case unique.
Mike Spro is the Pennsylvania Inspector General. His office investigated Frankfurt and just filed felony charges for welfare fraud.
When you look at the ultimate charge and what the overpayment was, $10,000 and change, that by itself isn't all that unique. We have subsidized daycare overpayments of that amount or greater on a fairly regular basis.
CBS 21 contacted Frankfurt, who gave us this statement, quote, "I learned my lesson. I'm sorry for what I did. I will never get assistance again, no matter how hard up I am. It's not worth it."
Sometimes we need something like this to get the public sparked up.
Representative Adam Harris of Juniata County has used that spark from Frankfurt's story to pass new legislation that would stop lottery winners from illegally collecting welfare.
That was really the main thing that Representative Benninghoff had come to me and said, did you see the CBS 21 story? And I said, I absolutely did. And he said, hey, why don't we use your bill that passed last session, put this great language into it, maybe get some momentum that we can actually get it to the governor's desk this year.
12 days later, House Bill 1489 passed unanimously in the Finance Committee. It would force the Department of Revenue to investigate all lottery winnings over $2,500 to see if the winner is on welfare.
It's the integrity of the system. I talk to people every day and you can hear it in their voice. They're upset with this broken welfare system. It's too easy to scam the system. It's too easy to get your hands on taxpayer dollars that aren't yours.
Now, if found guilty, Frankfurt will have to make restitution payments of $10,161. That's the amount she is charged with illegally collecting, and she could face up to another $15,000 in fines and go to jail for 9 months.
Wow.
All right, well, she says she's not going to collect anymore, but can she?
Yeah, she can still collect. Under Pennsylvania state law, you have to be found guilty 3 times of welfare fraud.
Not just once, 3 times.
In court 3 times, found guilty of welfare fraud before you can no longer collect.